to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of the Greg Belfrage Show. We're just getting underway. Thanks for being here. Hit the like button. I really appreciate it. All right, here we go.
I don't believe in the no-win scenario. This is the
Good morning. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. It's wonderful to have you along this morning. So yesterday we talked about the Donald Trump and Elon Musk interview, and was pretty significant, I think. And there is a piece this morning at justthenews.com about the way the legacy media, the state media, I call them, because that's what they become. It's the state media. Elon Musk yesterday posted a screenshot of all of the negative news headlines regarding his interview with Donald Trump. And Musk said, a wall of negative headlines was so predictable, he said. All this does is drive even more people to listen to the conversation themselves and realize how much the legacy media lies to them. You know, it's kind of a great point that Elon Musk is making. And it's one of the reasons why I think I would go even further. You know, you and I have talked about this over the years, and I've said, you know, you go out and investigate and find news sources that you can trust, and, you know, take a look at various different places, and then find folks that you think are at least making an effort to try to be, you know, to give you facts rather than give you opinion, and then rely on those sources. I think I would go even a little bit further than that. And this is what's unfortunate, is that the media has become so shrill and so full of gaslighting that Elon Musk is right. Now you almost have to take that additional step, and you've got to go listen to the conversations yourself. You've got to listen to them yourself to be able to draw your conclusions as to what actually happened. And for a lot of folks, you know, that's really incredibly difficult, if not impossible, for a lot of people in the, you know, in their daily lives to be able to invest that kind of time. But I think Elon Musk is right. And certainly, and then justthenews.com starts going through all the headlines. The Guardian, which is one of the worst that's out there, the leftist Guardian, you know, Elon's politics, how Musk became a driver of elections, misinformation. What? I mean, it just makes my head throb. Seriously. And then you start getting into American media, specifically NBC News, the usual suspects, just more and more. And then following the interview between Musk and Trump yesterday, you see the United Auto Workers Union yesterday announcing that they had filed federal labor charges against both Musk and Donald Trump because this was so-called worker intimidation. And again, I'm like, what the heck? I mean, are you kidding? So the UAW is, I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions about the UAW, but it's just crazy. And their leadership, which is frankly frightening to me. So they said Trump and Musk had a rambling, disorganized conversation. Boy, where did we hear that? From the media. That's what the media has been saying. Rambling. The number of headlines. How many headlines did I share with you yesterday? Rambling was the word. Rambling, disorganized conversation in front of over 1 million listeners in which they advocated for the illegal firing of striking workers. So this is it. And then it goes on. It's a great piece this morning at justthenews.com talking about this. But I think what Elon Musk has said is absolutely right on. A wall of negative headlines was so predictable. All this does is drive even more people to listen to the conversation themselves and realize how much the legacy media lies to them. And I have been saying this for years. During the time that Donald Trump was running for president, and I said it, and I've said it a number of times since. How many times have I said, the media is out there saying, well, Donald Trump said this. Donald Trump said this. And then I would take like, really? Donald Trump said that? And then I went and I'm like, I have got to go check that. It just doesn't seems out of character to me. And then you go and you check it in the actual clip. Oh, they didn't tell you then the rest of the clip. He said, well, we would never do that. But, in other words, he said something that put everything in context, and the media just lifted the piece that fit their narrative. Trump's a lunatic, Trump's crazy, Trump. And they are just doubling and tripling down on this kind of stuff. That was a very big story yesterday. I thought the interview between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And it really shows, I believe, it's really another indicator that the legacy media, in a lot of ways, boy, they're dying. I mean, who's watching NBC News anymore? Who's watching CNN? A lot of people are saying, no, not only no, but hell no. They're turning it off. They're not watching it. They're getting their news elsewhere. There are just so many places where you can get credible news. And the networks are not one of those places. So the reaction has just been absolutely incredible, but predictable. Just another Dan Bizarro world, my friends. Also, coming up this morning, we'll visit with Sioux Falls Mayor Paul Tenaiken. As you know, he and Sioux Falls Police Chief John Toom spoke last week. There was also a downtown business owner who was talking about some of the issues about behavior in downtown Sioux Falls. And one of the things that the mayor said last week, now keep in mind, the mayor is a very charitable person. That's what he's called to do. And I know that feeling because I feel that way myself. I think there are a lot of people, Christians, who feel that they want to be able to give, and they want to be able to benefit people in the community and lend a hand to those who need it, so on. But he talked about panhandling and what panhandling is doing to downtown Sioux Falls. So Sioux Falls Mayor Paul Tenaiken will join us coming up this morning, 7:35. He will join us. So the mayor will be here, and we'll visit with him for 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes, touching on, his comments, and just in case you missed those. And I shared them, a lot of them, last week. I actually shared the news conference because I thought it was really kind of important. I shared it the following day. And so he's going to join us this morning, and we'll talk about that. And I'm always curious to see what the reaction is from people in the community. How are they responding? So again, he's encouraging people to be generous. Just do not give money to panhandlers, because the problem downtown has gotten out of hand. So he will be talking to us about that in a little bit more detail coming up. He'll join us again 7:35 this morning. Other big stories, we have Ilhan Omar surviving her primary challenge in Minnesota. And I've got to tell you, I was taking a drink of coffee at Fox News. I was listening, and this is a big story, big national story. Ilhan Omar winning her challenge. So she will go on then to the fall election. It'll be Ilhan Omar. And Omar was talking about the joy of her, the joy of her and her campaign. They're just, they have this, our message of joy. And I'm like, you want to talk about gaslighting? You have got to be kidding me. That is just rich as hell. So she survived her primary in Minnesota. So it's on to November for Ilhan Omar. There are other members of the squad who have not been so fortunate, who have voters have said no, who are as outrageous as Omar has been. But the joy, oh yes, I'm just filled with the joy. It's a bit much. Also, Axios has a story that others are picking up this morning. The Harris campaign, this is the campaign of Kamala Harris, has been editing news headlines and descriptions within Google search ads that make it appear as if The Guardian, Reuters, CBS News, and other major publishers are on her side. And it goes on to say it's a common practice in the commercial advertising world, does not violate Google's policies, but the ads mimic real news results from search closely enough, but not entirely. In other words, misleading. And spokespeople for brands such as CNN, USA Today, NPR, whose links appeared in Harris for President ads, said they were unaware that their brand was being featured that way. Google's saying those ads don't violate the rules, but there are questions. You want to talk about fake news, you want to talk about misinformation, and it's always, you have the media and the left who want to use the misinformation club against, it's always against the right, but it's the left and their allies who are often also, I'm not saying that there aren't those on the right that are spreading this information, but the left and their allies are up to their necks in it too. And there's a lot of reporting on that story. That's a big story this morning. Give you an example. There's a California sheriff who was used in a Kamala Harris campaign ad, who was blasting now the campaign yesterday for using his image and likeness in a campaign ad without his permission. And this was Tulare County Sheriff Mike Boudreaux, said, in light of a recent political ad put out by Kamala Harris featuring Sheriff Boudreaux, as well as other local law enforcement, the sheriff wants to make it abundantly clear that his image is being used without his permission, and he does not endorse Harris for president or any other political office, he says. And he said that there was, again, this was a visit by Harris had made to the Central Valley when she was the California Attorney General, as he was speaking to reporters. And he said, I want to point out the misleading information projected in that ad. He said, in the ad, Harris claims to have spent decades fighting violent crime as a border state prosecutor. And he said, the facts are that then California Attorney General Kamala came into the valley touting a years-long investigation into a multinational drug operation with ties to Mexican drug cartels and gangs. And police had made some arrests. And so then Harris wanted to make an appearance there. And he said, the truth is, Harris never cared about the cartels, did nothing to stop people from illegally crossing the border, he said. Was all smoke and mirrors. It goes on. So now he's saying those campaign ads out there using his image, he doesn't support Kamala Harris. And then we've got Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, Kamala Harris running mate, and doing his first solo address since joining the ticket, responding to these claims of stolen valor. And he said, you know, these guys are even attacking me on my record of service, he said. But he did not say anything about the claims of stolen valor. And he said, I just want to say I'm proud to have served my country, and I always will be. The audience cheered. Then he talked about his time in the Minnesota National Guard, and then his time in Congress. He felt the call of duty again, he said. And this time my service to my country in the halls of Congress, that's what inspired me. So he repeated with more emphasis, I am damn proud of my service to this country, and I firmly believe you should never denigrate another person's service record. Nobody is. Nobody is. That's not the issue. That's not the issue. It's, you know, he's using the command sergeant major title, which he never completed that. So again, he didn't really address the issue, but I don't think you're surprised by that. I know I certainly wasn't. Now you've got more people from Minnesota who are stepping up, talking about Tim Walz. There are two different stories I want to share with you. One of them from the Post-Millennial. This is a former wine and coffee bistro owner by the name of Lisa Hansen. She was sentenced to prison for 90 days for violating the Walz COVID-19 lockdown orders in Minnesota. And in her interview with Fox News, she said the Walz shut down and destroyed her small business in Minnesota, that Americans do not want tyranny at this level. And I'm not going to go into it in complete details. Fox News had the story. Post-Millennials also got a story on it. But she said, this is the story that America needs to hear. That Tim Walz is not some cuddly, joyful coach, like all the things that the mainstream media are calling him. This is not who this man is. This man would like to take your rights away. He will take your rights away, because what happened to me could have happened to anybody. What happened to me will happen to you. While I was in jail, I missed out on Christmas with my family, missed out on my wedding anniversary, also missed out on the birth of one of my grandchildren. I can never have that time back. That time was stolen from me. My business was destroyed. My business is gone. After everything that happened, Tim Walz and Keith Ellison destroyed my business. They wrecked my life. It's a similar story to Lisa Zarza's story. She told Newsmax yesterday that the pandemic policies of Governor Tim Walz made her lose her businesses. She said, God help us all if he's in the White House and has anything to say with what goes on in our country. I owned a restaurant, 2 restaurants in Minnesota. And when the entire nation was shut down over COVID, we all shut down like every American at the start of the pandemic. She talked about trying to reopen, and they did. About 2.5 months later, everything was going fine. We were at about 50%, she said. Then Walz, as governor, shut down restaurants again, except for takeouts, a week before Black Friday. And she said that about a month later, about 200 bar owners decided to fight the mandates, as many other states had not shut down yet. And she was one of 10 that eventually reopened. And so she says her punishment actually for doing so actually went way beyond. She said, I lost both my restaurants. I had all my licenses stripped. I was revoked for having a license in the state of Minnesota for 5 years. I never thought I was above the law. I just thought I was an American who deserved to have equal treatment across the board. And it was so bad, she says, I don't want to be in Minnesota anymore. I bought a restaurant in Wisconsin 2 years ago. I've been commuting 2 hours a day since then. In 7 months, the lease on my house will be up, and I am leaving Minnesota. That's the Minnesota that Tim Walz has left behind. And more and more people are speaking out and responding to that. So that is a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you along. This hour brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Gallagher, weekend 6 to 9 p.m. Hello, NewsTalk
Okay.
107.9.
Other stories I wanted to get to here. California Governor Gavin Newsom nudging school districts to restrict student cell phone use. That's been an issue here in South Dakota. You've seen a growing number of schools in South Dakota that are saying, you know what? We don't want our students using cell phones while they're in school. So California may be headed down, or at least in that direction. Also, a Democrat judge preventing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. from being on New York's presidential election ballot. It's a Democrat judge making that decision. So those are other big stories. All right.
I'll never forget that because that guy was here. I'm Jeff Gould, and that's my Canaries.
Make your Canaries memory this summer at the Birdcage. Tickets.sfcanaries.com.
Did you know your life insurance is an asset you can sell? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. For almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. And at abacuspays.com, we've created a free policy value calculator so you can find out the worth of your policy in just seconds. There are no fees and no obligations. Get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Learn more at abacuspays.com.
Not all policies will qualify. Not available in all states.
Do you have over $10,000 in credit card debt? If you're feeling the financial impact with unprecedented economic challenges, DebtBlue is here for you. With DebtBlue's Success Guarantee, you pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved.
I'm just living sky high right now. I'm very thankful for it, and the team at DebtBlue are phenomenal. They're able to work with you. They're great.
Call for your free debt resolution information now. 800-200-6895. 800-200-6895.
Showers and thunderstorms in our forecast today. Some of those could actually be locally heavy around the region. High temperature 75 and a southeast wind at 15 to 25. Some new scattered showers and thunderstorms possible this evening as a frontal system presses through. Lows in mid 60s. Some isolated showers and thunder showers tomorrow.
And in Sioux Falls at 6:30, cloudy skies, 67 currently at Kello. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center. Coming up in a few moments, a committee of lawmakers in Pierre is reviewing how property tax is assessed here in South Dakota. Many are hoping for tax relief. Also, a single vehicle crash, leaving one person dead just outside of Sioux Falls. Joe will have details on those stories and more for you coming up in moments. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show on Kello.
See, former presidential candidate Nikki Haley has a message for Republicans as Vice President Kamala Harris gains momentum in certain states.
One thing Republicans have to stop, don't quit whining about her. We knew it was going to be her. She's not going to give an interview. They're going to hold out as long as they can. That's their right. They can do it. That doesn't mean we can't talk about what she believes in.
Haley speaking to Fox's Brett Baer. It's now been 24 days since Harris launched her campaign. Still no formal interviews or news conferences. Former President Trump will rally in North Carolina today, while Senator J.D. Vance will be in Michigan. In Minnesota, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar fending off primary challenger Don Samuels, bringing an end to the Progressive Squad losing streak.
I am incredibly honored by this victory tonight.
She'll face Republican Dalia Al-Akidi in November. America's listening to Fox News.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com News Center. A committee of lawmakers in Pierre is reviewing how property tax is assessed here in South Dakota. And many are hoping property tax relief will be the result of their study. Executive Director of the State Retailers Association, Nathan Sanderson, says the best place for that discussion is ongoing budget hearings at the county and local levels. He says that's where the real rates are set to meet the budget needs of local governments.
And then in the fall, around October, schools, counties, townships, all these other groups have to set their final numbers for the year. This is where your property, how much you got to have in property taxes is determined. It's right here. It's in these meetings.
The committee also heard from members of the Farm Bureau and directors of equalization from several counties. A single vehicle crash has left one person dead. A 29-year-old man died when his motorcycle left the eastbound lane of I-90 just east of Sioux Falls. He entered the south ditch, crashed into a fence, and was separated from the motorcycle. The rider was wearing a helmet but died at the scene. His name has not yet been released. Downtown Sioux Falls Sculpture Walk announced the Best of Show winner. A sculpture titled Gone to Seed will be added to the Sculpture Walk's permanent collection as the 2024 Best of Show winner. The piece is being displayed in front of Fierro Pizza on South Phillips Avenue. The Sioux Falls Little League team begins its quest for a Little League World Series title today. The South Dakota squad will take on Florida in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. The game will be televised on ESPN tonight at 6. And in Canaries baseball, the Winnipeg Goldeyes shot down the Birds 13-6 yesterday. The Canaries now have dropped into second place in the West Division. Game 2 against the Goldeyes starts tonight. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Areas of showers and thunderstorms in the forecast today. High temperature at 75 with a southeast wind, 15 to 25 miles per hour. A new batch of scattered showers and thunderstorms possible this evening, lows in the mid-60s. Tomorrow, we can't rule out some isolated showers and thunderstorms with a high around 80. From the Storm Center at Kettleland TV, I'm meteorologist Brian Karstens.
Whether it's close to home or halfway around the world, we've got you covered. Kello News Talk 1320, 107.9, and Kello.com.
If you have an ADT home or business security system, maybe it's time to look for a different company. I'm Kim Commando for NetSuite. Attention business owners, get a one-of-a-kind flexible financing program at netsuite.com/Kim. 10 days ago, the security company ADT was forced to admit to the Securities and Exchange Commission that it was hacked. They won't say when, and they won't say what the cyber thieves got, other than some names and addresses, all of which raises a big red flag. Is your ADT home or business really protected? My point is, when confidential customer information is stolen, that company should notify its customers immediately. It should tell them exactly what was stolen and what to do to protect themselves. Instead, ADT customers got informed months after the fact, and some of you ADT customers may be learning about this right now. That's no way to run a security company, one that holds the passcodes to millions of American homes. If you're not tech ahead, you will be left tech behind. Get my free newsletter at getkim.com. Okay, quick math. The less your business spends on operations, on multiple systems, on delivering your product or service, the more money you keep. It's obvious, but with higher expenses on materials, employees, distribution, and borrowing, everything costs more. So to reduce costs and headaches, small businesses are graduating to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR into one platform. With NetSuite, You reduce IT costs because NetSuite lives in the cloud with no hardware required. Access from anywhere. You cut the cost of maintaining multiple systems because you've got one unified business management suite. And you're improving efficiency by bringing all your major business processes into one platform, slashing manual tasks and errors. So do the math. See how you'll profit with NetSuite. NetSuite has extended its one-of-a-kind flexible financing program for a few more weeks. Head to netsuite.com/Kim. That's netsuite.com/Kim. netsuite.com/Kim.
The Kim Commando Show, live Saturday mornings at 9. Kello, News Talk 1320, 107.9.
The Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires. Your Give You More tire and automotive store. Financing programs available. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
Bring charm from the outdoors into your home with Renewal by Anderson picture and combination windows. Optimizing a beautiful view and light in the bedroom, kitchen, or living room from ABC Seamless of Sioux Falls. Call 605-646-2667 today.
That's ABC Seamless.
Joint pain from old injuries holding you back from experiencing joint wellness? Discover Miracle Wave at Unruh Chiropractic.
Thanks to Miracle Wave, I can enjoy golf again.
Schedule an appointment today at Unruh Chiropractic at 605-332-1962.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, and actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.
638, cloudy skies and 67. Good morning, my friend. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. This hour of our show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. Coming up later this morning, we'll have another chance for you to win tickets to see Styx and Foreigner. So we will do that this morning at between 8:20 and 8:30. So you'll want to listen for another chance to win tickets to see Styx and Foreigner. We'll do that this morning between 8:20 and 8:30. Be listening then for your chance to win. So we've had a number of happy winners. Styx and Foreigner and John Waite coming to the Denny Sanford Premier Center Wednesday, August 28th. And if you'd like to buy tickets, just check out the link on my Facebook page.
Trending now.
Add them on Facebook.
Let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
Well, Kamala Harris has declined an interview for Time magazine. They wanted to do a cover story on Kamala Harris, and she has declined. So there are more now criticisms of Kamala Harris avoiding the press. That's a big story. So Time, excuse me. Time magazine putting Kamala Harris on the cover without even doing an interview because she's declined. They wanted to do an interview on her. Nope, not going to do an interview. And it's interesting. I don't know that I accept the advice. Republicans should just quit complaining about the fact that she's not doing an interview and That's her right to not do an interview. You're running for president of the United States. It's your right not to do an interview. I puke when I hear that. Seriously, that just makes me sick. Those who are saying it, I just shake my head and politely smile and go, yeah, you're nuts. All right. The Harris campaign has been altering Google search ads in order to suggest that major news outlets support her campaign. So she's changing the headlines of articles. And these are major outlets, CNN, a number of others, major outlets. So she's changing the campaign rather than saying it's the campaign. They're changing the headlines in order to boost Kamala Harris. So Daily Caller's got a story on this. Over the last 10 days, the Harris campaign has edited the headlines and descriptions of almost a dozen outlets' articles found through Google search advertisements to appear as search ads from the Harris campaign. Several of those outlets, including CNN, USA Today, and NPR, said they were unaware that their articles were being manipulated for Harris campaign ads. It's just, you're ready for more of the same. And we're supposed to be worried about Donald Trump and the Elon Musk interview and how all this was fake information and it was. You know what the left does is they love to accuse their opponents of the things they're doing. I've been saying this for quite a while. You got the left doing all of these things and then accusing the right of doing those things. It's just laughable. It's concerning. Don't get me wrong. Now, this is interesting. California Governor Gavin Newsom wants to ban cell phones in California classrooms. We talked about this recently here in our state, in South Dakota. You've had some school districts across the state who have been taking the steps that just do not want cell phones in classrooms, and it's not beneficial to students' learning. Cell phones are an incredible distraction. And so apparently, Gavin Newsom is nudging school districts then to do just that, to restrict student cell phone use. Kind of interesting. Also, the United Auto Workers have filed federal labor charges against Donald Trump and Elon Musk for threatening workers during the Trump-Musk interview on X. There was a portion of it they were talking about. Workers, and Trump had complimented Elon Musk's ability to cut costs by saying he would not tolerate workers going on strike. And so now the UAW is saying that they're trying to intimidate workers. Look at these rich guys trying to intimidate workers. Also, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Will be able to stay on the North Carolina ballot, but this is after a judge said no, he will not be on the New York ballot. So the judge invalidated his petition because of a sham address, said the judge. But so he will not appear on the New York State presidential ballot. The court ruled he is not a resident of New York. And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been very vocal about the fact that he claims that he is. I would think that would be a relatively easy thing to prove. If you were actually a resident, I would think that would be a relatively easy thing to prove. And a judge, I think, would be able to ascertain that as to whether or not that's true. And this is a Democrat judge who said no. It's so he will be able to stay on the North Carolina ballot. But that's a big blow to Kennedy's campaign, and we'll see where it goes. Also, there's a video showing Minnesota Governor Tim Walz praising a cleric as a master teacher. And the person he was praising was a Muslim cleric who had promoted Hitler. And Walz denied that they had a personal relationship. And now a video has resurfaced showing Walz praising this cleric as a master teacher after his campaign denied that that the two of them had a personal relationship. So the video is back out there. Also, the FBI has launched an investigation into the cyber intrusion targeting the Trump campaign and an attempted breach of the campaign of Kamala Harris. So the FBI is now investigating, and this happened over the weekend. The campaign provided no specific evidence of Iran's involvement, but the claim came shortly after Microsoft issued a report detailing the attempts by foreign agents to try to interfere in the U.S. campaign. So the report cited an instance of an Iranian military intelligence unit. Excuse me, I'm having trouble seeing the small print here. In regard to this email, and it was a phishing email. And so now there have been a number of emails that have been sent to media, and the Trump campaign had said that sensitive documents were hacked, and some of those have now been sent to the American media. Also, DOJ may want to break up Google after Google lost its antitrust case. So Google has been found guilty of, this antitrust case recently. So now the Justice Department is weighing whether to break up Google's parent company, according to a report. And there are a number of reports: Raw Story, ZDNet, the New York Post. So the Justice Department considering a push for it would be a historic breakup of Google's after a federal judge ruled that the big tech giant has an illegal monopoly over online search. It's a big story last week. The New York Times says it will end candidate endorsements for local elections. So they will continue their presidential picks. And I'll refrain from telling you what I'll do with those, but the New York Times says they will no longer do local candidate endorsements. So in New York elections, they will not. I think anytime the New York Times stops doing endorsements, that's good news. I don't know how much attention readers and voters pay to those endorsements anyway. I mean, how much attention do you pay to endorsements? I think more than anything, you just wind up trashing them, or, it's like, oh, yeah, they agree with me. Okay. To change the way you're going to vote. Never once have I changed my mind because any publication has said, here's who we're endorsing. And I'm more like, I know what I think. I don't need to be told who to vote for. And I'm sure you feel the same way. Anytime somebody suffers from a stroke, it kind of catches my attention. And this story is trending this morning. Former House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer suffered a mild stroke. He will return to work next week, according to a spokesperson for Hoyer. He's 85 years old. And again, he's expected to return to his duties next week. And his team saying that he has responded well to medical care. So he had a mild stroke on Sunday, but no lingering symptoms, which is good news. I don't wish strokes on anybody, having been through one myself. Also, Starbucks has named the CEO of Chipotle, Brian Niccol, as their new chief executive. So the CEO of Chipotle now becoming the chief executive of Starbucks, the CEO, just recently being named. Other stories that are trending this morning: Hamas has fired rockets at Tel Aviv after 19 were killed in Gaza. Also, you've got Israel sending a delegation to the talks. Hamas has indicated that they are still interested in a deal. However, the group warned it would not participate in further negotiation. Our position was clear. We will not go for new negotiation rounds. So now we've got Hamas firing rockets at Tel Aviv after 19 were killed in Gaza. Also, we've got U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has postponed his trip to the Middle East. He was supposed to depart yesterday, and he has delayed that. And he was delayed over uncertainty about the situation. He has also approved the sale to Israel of military equipment that's worth over $20 billion. But again, the Mideast trip postponed over uncertainty is what he was saying. Also, a former Kansas police chief now has been formally charged over a raid against a local newspaper in Kansas. So this police chief was linked to the raid of a local newspaper. He's now been formally charged with one count of interference with the judicial process. So he resigned from the Marion Police Department less than 2 months after the raid because he just was facing a lot of heat. This is a story that's been trending on and off, throughout. At the time of the raid, it was trending. There's just been a lot of widespread interest in this story. So now he is charged with felony obstruction, the police chief. Also, a top Ukrainian commander saying that his forces now control almost 390 square miles of Russia's Kursk region. And I touched on this yesterday, that Vladimir Zelensky had been touching on this, that Ukraine was actually picking up territory from Russia. And the top Ukrainian commander echoing that. And there's Zelensky says the war is coming home to Russia. as Kyiv continues their attack across the border. And they're picking up territory, according to Zelensky. Also, a former Colorado clerk, Tina Peters, was convicted in a computer breach. She was the first local election official to be charged with a security breach after the 2020 election. And she was found guilty by a jury on most of the charges on Monday. This was an election computer breach, and she was found guilty. So before jurors had begun deliberating Monday, the defense said that Peters had not committed any crimes, only wanted to preserve election records after the county would not allow her to have one of their technology experts present during a software update. Did you see Glenn Youngkin? There was a piece, I saw this earlier this week. Or was it even late last week? Glenn Youngkin, it might have been on Friday. Glenn Youngkin, in a move back toward paper ballots, getting away from electronics altogether, and a move back to paper ballots. That is a persistent and a real issue for a number of people across the country. And that's a look at the big stories this morning. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. It's currently cloudy skies, 67 here at Kello. And this hour of our show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
There's interesting news talk.
I want to thank you very much for letting me join you this morning. Please hit that like button. It makes a big difference. I hope you'll return at 9:30 this morning for the 4th hour of the Greg Belfrage Show. We'll do that from down in my office. So I hope to see you then. Take care. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.